Hi there, this is Art and Such with my Rainbow Loom tutorial for Sherlock Holmes. Now, I got this request not too long ago and I was astounded to see that nobody has done him already, so thought I'd give it a try. For this pattern, you're going to need a hook and holding hook, a couple of dark beads or bands for the eyes. I'm going to be using a couple of small black beads and threading them on with a piece of dental floss. You're going to need some skin tone bands for the face and hands. And you've got some choices for the outfit. In my original pattern, I used white on the collar, and I'll be using that again, as well as a little bit of black. Now you can make your shoes black, or you can make them a dark gray if you're using gray, or if you decide to use a brown on the suit, you can use a darker brown for the shoes as well. I'm going to be using a darker brown shade this time, and he's gonna wear brown through his whole outfit. The shoes are going to be black again, as I said, and his little pipe here, that's what this is supposed to be. It's just made with a little piece of black wire, and I'm not gonna show you that part. That's, you just twist it until you like the shape. Basically, you can put it through his hand or through his face, but if you put it in the center, it's gonna come out looking like a funny nose. So that's why he's holding it. We will be doing some of this on the hook. We will be doing most of this on a standard 3-piece loom with the rows in the offset configuration. And I'm sorry guys, the most efficient way I found for the cape was to use a double loom with 6 rows on it, and they're all aligned. If there's another method you'd like to try, whether it's the side extensions or widening his outfit as you go, or combining the 2 pieces of the cape, that's up to you. I will show you how to make it the way I've made it here. And the last thing is you're going to need some C-clips. I think we got it covered. We're ready to start. So let's do our arms first. I'm going to make them just a touch shorter than they are here. This is 8 sets, and we're going to do 7 sets. But before we get to the sleeve, we need to make our little hands. Take 2 skin tone bands, wrap them 1, 2, 3 times onto your hook, and pull onto double skin tone bands. Oh, something going on in the parking lot there. Now take the color you'd like for the coat, the cloak, the suit. Take 2, put them on, slide it over, and we're going to have a total of 7 sets of your suit color. I'm just going to say brown from here on, as that's the color I'll be using this time. And 7. We can make our second arm in exactly the same way. Take 2 skin tone, wrap 1, 2, 3, pull onto 2 of the skin tone bands, replace, and onto 7 sets of double brown. You can leave these where they are, or you can transfer them onto another holding hook. We're going to make the legs next. Get a couple black bands ready here. Take 2 black bands for the shoe. We're going to wrap them on the hook 1, 2, 3 times. Pull onto double black bands. And before you replace them, I'll show you the easy way first. Okay, replace, take a single black band, wrap it on the end 1, 2, 3 times, and take the closer part of your first piece, pull it over that wrapped band so that it now sits in the middle. And then we're going to take 2 black bands and slide this onto them, and another 2 black bands, and we need 9 sets of double brown bands for the legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, untangle some of my bands here, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We'll make our second leg the same way. Take 2 black bands, put them on your finger, wrap them on the hook 1, 2, 3 times. This one's a little loose. No, it's okay. Pull that onto double black bands, and you can repeat what you did the first time, or you can leave this loose, wrap your single band, and then replace. And that just gets it to the middle place faster. And we need 2 more sets of double black bands. And then we're going to brown again for our next 9 sets of doubles. Try to even this out before we go further. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and then we can come to the loom. Grab your white bands. Now we are going to be adding the tie on after, but just a little note here, if you want to use a different color for his tie or kerchief, you can certainly play around with that as well. Well, let's go to our 3-row loom, and I'm going to pull up my pattern here, and we're going to come down twice in the center with double white bands. Once from the center second to the side second with double white, and from the center second to the other side with double white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 sets of brown bands coming down on each side. And move those whites out of the way. And in the middle, we're going to come down 4 times with double brown bands, starting at the 3rd peg from the top. Okay, take your hook with your legs and grab 2 brown bands. We're going to slide both legs onto that and bring that across from your 7th peg down on one side to your 7th peg down on the other. Those are the last pegs you put bands on. Get your hook in between the 2 leg pieces and pull the bands that they're on over the 7th peg down in the center. You can take your arms and transfer them onto the 2nd pegs down on either side. Make sure you get all of the pieces, press it down. And we're going to put some holding bands on. we're just going to use single brown bands, and take one, bring it across so it sits on the 3 pegs that are coming down on each row, and then your 4th pegs from each row, and we need 2 more sets below that. Okay, so once we've got that, we can loop up. We'll be making the coat a little bit later. This is just the first part for the body. We're going to start on the side, and we're going to be looping up the bottommost 2 bands. So take your hook, point the open part up and away from you, push back the top 2 bands that are holding the legs, grab your bottom 2, bring them up and over and around the next peg. Push back your holding band, get inside, get your next 2. We're going to loop forward until we get to the arms. Just keep pushing back the holding bands. When you get to the arms, you want to grab the bottom 2 white and bring those up to the 2nd center peg. And we're going to repeat this all on the far side. So go into the peg that the legs are on and loop up 4 times. Oh, 5 times I guess this would be. And then loop inwards from under the arm. You can always turn your loom to a different angle or use your hook or fingers to pull the bands out if you're having a hard time seeing them. Go to the 7th peg down on the bottom, find your bottom 2, your only 2 bands on that peg, and loop them forward and loop up straight to the top of the loom now. Bottom 2 whites when you get to the 2nd peg down. Hold on to the bands on the top center peg, and you can release the bands from the side. And put your hook through the bands on the top center peg, those whites. Remove this from the loom. Just set it aside for a minute. We're going to put together the face and go from there. So we're going to start on the hat now. We're taking 2 bands that match the color of your suit, laying them from the top center to the top right, top center to the top left, and come down once on each row with double brown bands. I just want to make a note here though. This will give you a really narrow hat, like up to there, which is why I'm gonna add a 2nd row. But if you feel this is too tall for you, you can leave it at 1 row instead of 2. As I said, I'm gonna do 2, even though it makes the hat a little bit taller. That's kind of what we want for Sherlock anyway, I guess. I wanted to get a sharper rim on the front of his hat, and you can make one for the back of the hat too, although I'm not gonna do that with you today. 1 band across the 2nd pegs down here. But yeah, sometimes it's hard to get that sharp point with round bands. We're going to come down 3 times in the center with skin tone bands, starting at the 3rd peg down. Must be a garbage truck out there, it's so loud. And 2 sets of double bands, skin tone coming down on either side, starting at the 3rd pegs down. Yeah, I opened the window today. It's just so beautifully sunny, and we're getting near the end of sunny season. And I also thought, you know, good lighting for the video, so I apologize for the sounds. 5th peg on the side to the 6th peg in the center with double bands, and repeat on the opposite side. We're gonna get some doubled over holding bands for our face. Single, stretch, twist, double it over. Bring it across your 5th pegs down. We'll do that again for the 3rd pegs down, and once more for the 4th pegs down. I didn't really have to do them in that order. Just thinking ahead to our eyes here. Give me 1 second here. Right, so this is the one we're going to take off for our eyes. I'm going to show you how I'm going to show you a couple ways of doing this. If you want to do this in a really, really easy way, you can take your, let's put our body on first so it's our hook is free. Transfer the bands to the 6 peg down at the center. There we go. Okay. Ooh. No, not a loose piece. There. So I'm going to show you really quickly the easiest way to do this is to take 2 dark bands, wrap each 3 times, and transfer them both onto a skin tone band. You can do this with large beads as well. Then this would sit on top of your 4th pegs down. As I said, I'm going to show you this a couple ways, so bear with me here, jump ahead if you need to. Separate and put it over that peg. Now, the thing I don't like about this so much is that you're going to have this band a little bit loose on the side, and if you end up turning your body around, you won't see the eyes as clearly. Like if this ends up being the opposite side, if you decide you like one side better than the other, the eyes are not going to show as well on the back side. They'll be blocked by this, but you can do it that way. I think I will do it. No, I'm going to stick with the beads. I like the beads. So this is the other method. Let's see if I've got a band that's a little bit stretched already. No, we're going to use this. So the other way to do this is if you've got beads with a smaller hole, you can take a piece of floss, run it through both of your beads, and then you can use a single band or your doubled over band, which is what I'm going to take here. You put your floss through the band, bring it back over, bring it back through the beads from the opposite direction. Now, as I said, you don't have to double your band over if you're finding this part difficult. You can just have a doubled over holding band and do this the same way onto a single. And we're going to transfer that band onto, or replace it I should say, onto the 4th pegs down. That way we keep the tension and the eyes, there's nothing blocking them on either side, you know. Just going to continue to use my floss as I'm placing this, because we've got a lot of tension here now. This part's always a little tricky though. Maybe we'll use our hook as well. There we go. And regardless of the way you've attached your eyes, you will want to get your hook between them. I trimmed my nails this week, so it's a little bit harder for me today. Separate the band and pull one piece of it over the peg above. Almost got it there. So this is going to be nice and tight, and the reason we put it over the peg is so that the eyes don't move around and squish into each other. Let's check my pattern really fast. I think we are ready to loop this up. So we're going to go to the 6th peg down in the center. You can pull the white bands onto the next peg if you need more help getting under them. Just don't want to stretch mine out right now. Go for your top 2 bands. Bring them over to the side closest to you. That's where we place the top layer. You can see how neatly it came away. That tells us we're in the right place. Bring the next 2 to the right and bring the next 2 up. You can loop up on either side. Go for the bottom 2, push back everything in the way, and be careful you've got a little extra tension with those doubled over holding bands. Loop into the middle. We'll go to the other side and do the same thing. So 5th peg down, reach in for the bottom 2. And really most of these pegs only have the bottom 2 as for bands coming from the pegs above. And we're going to come into the center. Go over to the 5th peg down in the center and loop straight up to the top. We're almost ready to start adding accessories here. Take a single brown band, get it ready with your left hand, and with your right hand we're going to take the hook, point the open part away, push through the bands on the top center peg, grab that securing band, and pull it up. As you do, you want to be turning your hook so that the open part faces up again. Then you can replace the other side and pull one side over the other and over the top of the hook to create a slip knot. Hold on to that or put it on a hook and you can take everything off of this loom. I'm going to do this carefully because we've got a lot of tension and we want to be gentle with our looms in our band. There we go. Okay, so here you can see the eyes are more prominent on one side than the other. And that's the side you want for the front. We are going to turn to the back for a minute. Put your hook under a couple of bands and pull your securing band through. That can go onto a C-clip for the moment. I think we're going to do the tie next because it's a little bit easier than the hat rim. So we'll come back to that in a minute. We're going to do the tie for now. Take the color you want for your tie, wrap it 1, 2, 3 times on your hook, pull 2 bands through, and you're going to take one side of this, put it over the head, and now you're going to go from the back to the front, right under that white little V. Grab your black bands and pull it to the back very lightly. And we're just going to put it onto a C-clip on the back. We are going to use a few C-clips here, but you can definitely weave your bands together if you want to consolidate the use of your C-clips. I'm going to put this under a nearby band just so it doesn't flop about. Okay, let's do the hat. Let's see how our time is on here, battery-wise. Okay. So for our hat, we're going to be using doubled over singles. I'll show you while I've got both hands. The way we do this, we stretch, twist, bring it back on top of itself. We're going to go in on the side towards the back. So the first set of brown, we're going to reach into there, take a doubled over single and pull it through, and we're not going to replace it yet. Because now, I'm trying to do this without blocking your vision here. Now on the front, we're going to find that brown holding band that came across that bottom brown row. So it's going horizontally across the face. You should be able to find it in line with the eye. Put that on your hook and then replace the other side of that doubled over single. We're going to take another single, stretch, twist, double it over, get that ready in your left hand, pull it through, everything that's on your hook, carefully. And let me try and angle this for you again. We're going to go over the next vertical brown bands and find the next piece of the brown horizontal holding band in the middle there, and then put the other side on. And we're gonna kind of feel our way across like this, but I'll still walk you through it slowly, and if you feel you've got it, you can fast forward a little bit here, jump ahead. Pull another doubled over single through. We're gonna go over the next vertical bands, find a next piece of the horizontal, replace, another doubled over single. We're almost there. This I would say this is probably the hardest part of it. So if you're doing okay here, that's awesome. And we're gonna reach through towards the side here. Take another doubled over single, pull it through. And I think we need probably one more. Yeah, I think this time I'm gonna have to pull these through a couple at a time because they're getting really, really tight. Now I'm gonna grab a couple from to sort of the side, the opposite side, in the back. And you can add another doubled over single, or at this point you can take your hook and take the bands, the loops, I've got 4 here that are further back, and pull them over the other 2 and over the top of the hook. And then we're going to turn to the back again, find a nearby band. And I know we've got a little tension here, we'll try our best. Pull it under the kind of knot we just made and put that onto our C-clip, which is coming right off, but that's okay. We'll use that for an extra security loop. And put that under another band so it doesn't flop. Can give that a little adjustment. If you see something that's loose, you can find it in the back and pull it tighter. Pull that down a little bit. Okay. So we've got 2 more things to do, which are optional, at which point you can make a pipe or a magnifying glass or even a pair of glasses if you wanted with some wire. So our last thing to do is the cape, which is 1 piece, and then there's a smaller kind of overcoat over cape. That is the second piece. Both pieces are made the same way on the double loom. The only difference, of course, is that one will be shorter than the other and it's going to sit on top. Oh, we're going to do the second piece wider as well. So we're going to take sets of double brown, come across the top, first row to second row, second row to third row, third row to fourth row, and fourth row to fifth row. When we do the second part, this one is going to go all the way to the end. For the longer piece, I'm only going to do the 5 rows. And we're going to come down on each of those rows. I believe it was 10 times. I'm sure it was 10 times. With double bands. Now I'll just mention this now, so you'll know to be patient and kind to me. This loom is a little bit loose and it has a tendency to kind of pop apart. So if you see something getting really loose as I go through my video, it's all under control. It's just something that happens with this particular loom. And if you have the same issue with yours, I'll encourage you to do what I'll be doing, which is to loosen up some of the tension and take off some of the pieces as they get looped in, and that does help a little bit, but I'm probably due for a new loom soon, a new double. That one again. Now another idea, something that occurred to me, I don't have any brown and white checked bands that would suit exactly, but if you have something like that at home, you could certainly play around with the color schemes for his hat, for his coat. there. If you've got some bands that are a little stretched out, save them. You'll want to save them or set them aside for this next part. We'll be using them. Okay, 2 more sets for me. We're going to take some single bands, stretch them out, and bring one across your second set of pegs. We're going to repeat that for each of the sets below, including the bottommost one that we have used. So that's going to be going across, I guess it'll be the 3rd peg from the bottom will be where you'll place your last one. This is where I start to notice the tension of my loom. At least these ones don't have to be doubled over. In fact, it's a little bit better if it's a little bit looser because we don't want this to bunch up too tight around the body. We want there to be a little bit left around showing on the side. We're going to go to the side further from you, and we're going to loop up inside that holding band and then loop straight up to the top. Just make sure we're in that next holding band. It's funny, I said all the stuff about loom tension, and this part can be a little bit floppy loose, so gotta watch out for that. You can see my loom is already starting to crack and crinkle with a little bit of extra tension. It's okay. When we get to the top in just a minute, let me make sure I'm kind of on camera here. We're gonna reach inside and loop once in towards you. Go to your next row, and now we're gonna lift that holding band up a little bit because our next one is going to go up over that, and then push back and loop to the top. Now I'm going to take a couple of these side ones off because it is starting to get a little tight for my liking. Having some technical camera difficulties here too, so there might be a couple of pauses while pieces get spliced together on the final edit. We'll make do. Okay, go inside at the top for your next horizontal one, bring it towards you. Now I'm going to take off pretty much all of that farthest row. And I want to keep this a little bit loose. You don't have to take this off just yet. You can save it until you're about done, but that's up to you. Okay, the next one, we're going to go over that holding band again. So just make sure everything else is inside. Holding it down with my finger and then looping up the next section. This is probably my own fault for releasing so many of the finished sections, but as I said, I would rather have that happen than what would in my case be a broken apart loom. And to the top, and loop in horizontally towards you. Next row, we're going to go up and over. Going to be a little floppy again. Just pick them up, bring them over, reach inside, get your next 2 loop to the top. And loop inwards again. That's the last time, and then we're going to loop up the side that's closest to you. And this one we are going to loop inside that holding band. So push it back, grab your two, and then bring them forward. You can loop to the top from here. I think I'm going to take off a couple more of my bands while we're at it. They're starting to stick in funny places. And mind you, again, those are only the bands that we have looped into place already, which at this point are most of them, but make sure they're looped before you release them. You can take off all the bands except for the ones on the top peg closest to you. And we're going to be putting our hook through the bands on that first peg, first corner peg. Just a second. Put your hook through all of them, make sure you've got all of them, and you can release that. Okay, take your the bands that are on the end, they're going to slide through the rest of the bands that are on your hook. And we're going to move our hook, weave it in towards the center, and then put this onto a C-clip. So grab a nearby band, pull it through, grab another band, pull it through, grab another band, pull it through, and put it onto a C-clip. I'm going to put this under another band just to keep it in place. Then we can attach this. Okay, so now we take the piece with the C-clip facing us, so it's going to be on the inside. We're going to stretch a little section for the arm. You'll kind of feel your way about where you want that to be. Pull the arm through, and you can always try more than once. Take a little section off of the other side and pull that arm through. We'll see how this looks here. Not bad, not bad. Maybe a little closer to the edge, I'm thinking. Like I said, you might need to try a couple of spaces. You can use your hook if you're having a hard time getting the hand through, although I wouldn't put the hand on the hook to pull, as that might stretch it out a little too much. Okay, we want it kind of snug and not too high up. And now we can make the this little piece that goes over to your loom. We're going to have the same setup, but we're going to go across all the rows this time and only come down 5 times on each row. So starting at the side closest to you, go across the top of the loom with double bands. And on each of those rows, we're going to come down 5 times with double bands. There. This one's way shorter than the other piece anyway, so it will go by a little bit faster. And you might have decided that you don't want this piece, and that's fine too. You can finish Sherlock where he's at, which is like this. And please let me know in the comments if you've found some other techniques for this design that you like the effect of. Because this was a pattern I struggled with a little bit, trying to find what suited me best. But yeah, I'm always happy to here's suggestions, and I love knowing what your ideas are on some of these. I know a couple of people have used glow-in-the-dark beads on some of my Monster High characters, and we're going to come across with our stretched out single band holding bands, and done some interesting things with color choices on some of the other figures I've done, and I think it's just really cool when you do something in a different way. So yeah, please let me know what you think about this and how you could make it maybe even better. The last one, we're going to loop this up the way we did the other one. So start at the far side, stay inside that holding band, loop straight up, stay inside the holding band, loop up, continue that way to the top, and loop once in towards you. Next row, we're gonna go over that holding band, so it's gonna be on the inside. And the reason we do that is because we don't want this big floppy piece on the bottom after, just if you were wondering. And the reason we've got these holding bands to begin with, of course, is so that our rows hold together. And it makes them a little bit stronger too, I think. And loop in towards you. I'm gonna take a couple of these off on the far row. It should be pretty safe now. Next one is also gonna go over the holding band. We do that for all but the end pieces. And that felt funny. Let me make sure that's on properly. There. It's a little sticky. And loop inwards diagonally again. It's okay if you need to turn your loom or pause the video, take your time. This is a tricky part to get, so make sure you get the right ones. I'm gonna loop those next bands over the holding band and loop straight up to the top again. We're almost there. Hold on. Take off a little more tension on the far side. Second to last one. And into that first row. And we've got 5 more to loop up. This time we're going to loop inside the holding band. So make sure that this piece is over the peg when you're looping. And continue to the top. Put your hook through the bands on that top corner peg, and we can take the rest of this off. You can use your fingers or another hook, or as I'm doing, you can just wait a minute, and then after this is looser, you can put your hook into that top section. There we go, through all of them, and remove. Take the 2 that are closest to the end of the hook, and you're going to slide them through the others, so all the rest will be going over those 2. Do it carefully, please. And bring it back in. Turning this upside down, grabbing a nearby peg, pulling it through. Grab a nearby peg, pull it through. Grab a nearby peg, oops, pull it through. Because we don't want this C-clip to be poking out and showing over the shoulder. And last C-clip of the day. The last thing to do is to line it up, find a space, reach it over and the arm and through. Stretch, stretch, stretch. It's a little bit lumpy, but as I said, I'm open to suggestions here. This was the best that I could do here, and I mean, it gives them some depth. It gives them some added character, which is kind of neat too. So I will show you how both of these look. Kind of like a turtle. Maybe we'll bring this a little bit higher. Try that. Oh, that's a little better, I guess. So what I'm doing is just bringing the can through a little bit lower. I can play around with that some more. I'll put my final version into the thumbnail there. There is your Sherlock, shown in brown and in gray. And I thank you for the suggestion, and I thank you for watching. Or the request, I should say. Thanks for the request, guys.